Hi, I'm Scott, and welcome back to Synth Stuff. Well, you've got your fancy new MODX M or your Montage M at home, and you're thinking, I've got everything you've ever needed in the synthesizer, but you're wrong. There's one more thing you need to go along with your MODX or Montage 7, and I'm going to tell you all about it coming up. So what do you need to go along with your MODX M or your Montage M? And technically, MODX or Montage of any kind, they're all going to require the same thing. And you're going to think, oh, it's a sustain pedal. So when you push down on the sustain, it holds the note? No. Yeah, you do need one of those. But you can just buy any cheapy thing. In fact, I buy them on Amazon by the crate load. I've got so many of these pedals sitting around. I'll put a link to the one I use that I have plugged into virtually every synth in the studio, and it works really great and it's cheap. I'll put a link to that down below. So that's not what you need for these synthesizers, and you need this device because of the super knob. The super knob makes all kinds of changes to sounds. There are so many sounds inside the MODX and the Montage that are set up that way where the super knob does something transformative, and it really allows you to do expressive changes. With the Montage, maybe you could do aftertouch, and you've also got the ribbon over here. MODX, you don't have aftertouch or a ribbon, so the super knob is it for your expressive inputs other than obviously a mod wheel. But what happens if you have both hands busy already? If I'm holding this down in the bottom and I need to change the super knob, but I'm already doing something up here with this hand, you can still do it. And how am I doing that? With the Yamaha FC7 expression pedal. This is my very dusty Yamaha FC7 expression pedal. Very dusty. And it's simply a pedal that, when it's plugged into one of the ports on the back of your synthesizer, actually operates the super knob. You can also put it in the second jack, where by default it will operate the volume, the output, so you can adjust the overall volume that you're putting out. Now there are lots of expression pedals that you can buy. Why do you want this one? Well, a couple of reasons. First off, it is made for Yamaha synths. It works perfectly. You plug it in, it's guaranteed it's going to work. You can't always say the same for third-party expression pedals. I've got a fairly cheap one over here that's plugged into the Hydrasynth. It works great. On the Montage, not so great. There's just not enough travel, and especially for the super knob, you need a fair bit of travel so that you can accurately put the super knob exactly where you need it. If you've only got, this much travel, it's really hard to move the super knob to where it is that you want it in its travel. But that's not the only secret that this pedal has. This is probably the best expression pedal I've ever seen, and let me tell you about a couple of the features. Yes, you can see it, you put your foot on it and it goes back and forth. Well, that's pretty simple. You can also take this plate off, and you can put two of these side by side and screw them together so that if you have two of these, one's your expression and one's your volume, they will actually lock together, and that way they aren't going to slide around next to each other. That's a great feature. Here's another great feature. See this screw right here on the bottom? If I loosen this off, so this little piece of metal comes loose here, you can actually adjust the angle at which the pedal will lock. So you can have it like this, or if you want, you can push it in so it's farther, like this. And now, if you're going to be standing on the stage, obviously you don't want the pedal up at an angle because your foot doesn't go that way. So if you were standing on the stage, now the pedal travels from here to here. And that's perfect for when you're standing. And then you can change it back again just by flipping where that is locked to, and then screwing this back in place again. Now you can see it's back to the seated position, so it goes much farther back this way and not so it doesn't over travel to the front. So that's a great feature where you can adjust this for seated or standing. You can have it, you can adjust it. It doesn't hurt it to adjust it over and over like that. Now this is set up for an expression pedal. If I wanted this to be set up as a volume pedal, there's another feature that you can do in here, and that is the spring return point, which is another screw that is located right here. And if I turn this screw like this, and you can adjust the point at where you want to do this, now you'll notice you can go all the way back here but where it stops is a little bit earlier. However, there's an extra little springy in here that takes you all the way. So if you can look at the super knob here, I can take it all the way off, and then as I push it forward, you can see it goes almost all the way to the top, and then as I push it all the way, it goes all the way in. Why would you do this? Because if this is your volume, you can then say, okay, this is my maximum volume setting right here, but if you need a little extra oomph just for a really loud section, you can push into it with your foot and get that extra boost of volume, and then let up, and it's going to spring back to where you normally have your maximum volume set to. So that's a really neat feature on the FC7. And if you don't need that anymore, you can obviously just then undo this spring and that feature goes away. It is a super heavy duty, rugged pedal. It's good for taking on the road, and it's really accurate. It really lets you put that super knob exactly where you need it to be. And once you start playing with this, you aren't going to want to play without it, honestly. You can put that exactly where you want it to go. The FC7 is not cheap, but I will put a link to it in the description below. If you want to buy one, then hey, click my link, and it is an affiliate link. So if you just got your new Montage M or MODX M for Christmas and you need something to fill your stocking, the FC7 is really something that should be at the top of your list to go with your brand new Yamaha. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.